Okay. Hi, guys. So I'm having some troubling feelings right now that I just wanted to take a moment to briefly discuss. So, as I've discussed before numerous times, I have had several instances where I've been the victim of sexual abuse. This information makes me vulnerable. Sharing it makes me vulnerable. I've shared it in the past and it's been exploited, so I need to discuss it now because it's being brought up. I have been victimized several times. I've said no and tried with all my might to force someone off of me. There's been numerous cases recently where people have reenacted audio from those situations or similar situations in an effort to cause me mental distress. Several people have taken opportunities to message me or write publicly about my children being exploited or victimized. This is not a game. None of what's gone on in the past several years is a game. This is real, and it's been real the entire time. I can't tell you how many reports I've filed with police reports, calling federal jurisdictions locally, as well as nationwide, and not getting any response. Feeling like the situation is not being taken seriously. Feeling like these victimizations don't matter. I have personally coached myself through the healing process of PTSD, specifically associated with sexual abuse, numerous times. But in order for this to stop, I need the space to heal. And that cannot include being forced to have sex with someone. That cannot include someone forcing themselves on me in any other sexual way, touching me, or anyone. But I can only speak from my experience. Violating someone sexually is something I don't understand. Being turned on by someone who clearly doesn't want to engage in sexual activity with you is not only predatory, but it's extremely traumatic to anyone. Creating a sense of fear in a person about their own safety, about the safety of their family, it's inexcusable. I don't know, besides calling friends and family and asking for help, and them calling friends and family and asking for help, and involving the police and reaching out to the FBI, what more can be done about this situation? I really don't know, and I would say it's safe to use the word desperate at this point for some intervention with this situation. This is no way for anyone to live their life, and manipulation, exploitation, grooming, baiting anyone, but specifically children, is unconscionable. It's morally bankrupt, and it's, in my opinion, one of the most predatory and exploitative things that can happen. When we're breaking down a child, whether it's sexual abuse or looking the other way, with harassment or bullying or whatever it is, these are creating memories and patterns and causal reactions and causal belief systems to be formed in young minds. The minds of children are so vulnerable, and it's our job to fill them with reality about the world, but also protect them. Fear is not a gift if you're exploiting and fear-mongering. It's torture. I really hope that when people are engaging in things like this and aware of them going on, that they can look inward and think of someone they love, a child in their life that they love, and how it would affect them if something similar were happening to a child that, mattered to them in their life. It's inexcusable. I just made a post on Merciful Storm, and I copied a post from UNICEF, just discussing talking to a child, interviewing a child that you may suspect is a victim of some sort of exploitation or abusive situation in the home or elsewhere. We have to keep in mind, that children are not adults. They are not living the same lives. They're not having the same experiences. And while many children are very, very intelligent and maybe even wiser than some adults, they're children. They're children. At the end of the day, they are children. Besides being tormented with these constant reminders of sexual abuse in my own life, creating a sense of a child being abused, not only is it crazy making and torturous, but it is abusive to everyone involved. Every child, every adult, everyone who would ever experience something like that. And when these kids are put into positions where they're being exploited or targeted or bullied or anything like that, what makes us think as adults that they feel safe enough to discuss it or trust us enough to discuss it? Pushing them and pressuring them and questioning them and backing them into a corner for explanation is not the answer. Children need to be advocated for, and when at all possible, they need to be with their parents and their family. I've discussed this concept before as well, the farthest removed concept. If someone has 3 or 4 children and they take in a foster child, or maybe their brother or sister has an urgency and they can't be there and they take their child over, and you're caring for a child that is not yours in the home, of course you will love the child, I would hope. But when it comes down to necessity, we give the most to the closest to us. It's just human nature. And the farther removed you go, so if it's a cousin versus if it's a family friend versus if it's a stranger, your ability to protect and your resources allotted, they differ. As that relationship gets farther away, what you're able to put in, it changes. So when dealing with a child who may be separated from their family, or maybe with their family but being bullied at school, or silenced at school, or harassed or exploited at work, And I really want to focus on that word silenced. When these children are silenced, they don't have to be beat up every single day to be silenced. If someone has taken an exploitative measure against a child in silencing them from sharing that and getting help with that, beating them down for answers is not going to make them talk or feel open. And in many times, it's going to put them in a position to further be exploited and punished by the abuser or someone connected to the abuser or with similar interests as the abuser. And it's just putting this poor innocent child in an even worse situation, than they began with. This is not just regarding sexual abuse. This can be abuse of any kind, emotional, physical. I'm not a perfect mother. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've ran out of patience, frequently. And as stress in my life increased, the way that I parented changed. But that doesn't mean that I can't notice, come up with a solution, adjust, and then revisit the issue with my child. Anything that we say or do to our children, we don't know, the effect that it has on these kids. You can say something that you don't mean one time and never even remember saying it. And before you know it, 2 years has passed and your child has this deep-seated, what's the word when you feel self-conscious about something? Our words carry meaning and they carry weight and they form belief systems in our children. We have to uplift our children and be as supportive as possible to our children. And also respect that a lot of these kids are dealing with things that a lot of adults may never have to deal with or may never have dealt with. So I really hope that can be a priority for everyone. Realizing what doesn't work, making adjustments, kindness, compassion, understanding. Looking out for your neighbor doesn't mean being a busybody or being a Karen. Just being aware, and having a soul. My gosh. I literally switched my schedule around so that I can have some peace, to get some work done, to create some content, to share some thoughts, to write. The torment and harassment that I've been receiving has been ridiculous and has been very troublesome, problematic, and has gotten in the way of a lot of work that I've done. A lot of work I've done has been destroyed. Coming up with concepts and ideas and giving subjects the thought, and attention that they deserve has been difficult with the harassment and the things that have been ongoing. But at night, that seemed to quiet, and I felt more capable of creating, communicating, and expressing thoughts in a way that was not only relatable, but understandable and practical. For me at night, that's just when it works best and when I receive the least interruption. It's unfathomable to me that someone could stage something like that, a sexual attack, within earshot. It seems, again, intentional and malicious. It just makes me feel like if I'm an adult, I'm 35 years old, I have a driver's license, I almost have a bachelor's degree. I'm not, a genius, but I'm fairly intelligent. If I'm feeling so pressured and so much blowback and so harassed and tormented, and I'm having such a difficult time escaping those intentional manipulations of previous abuses to get a rise out of me or to get me to have a mental health crisis, I just truly wonder what's happening with not only my children, specifically my children, because I can't be there with them and they're my children, but also anyone else's children. Again, I'm 35 years old. I can drive myself around. I am fairly healthy. I am fairly intelligent. I'm capable of, and willing to work. But I feel like I'm being held, and I feel like I'm being harassed, and I feel like I'm being, exploited. And I've reached out and I'm, haven't gotten resolution. What chance does that leave for a child? And what do we do to make sure that the children, first and foremost, are safe and protected and free from exploitation and able to live and grow and be, what can we do? So that's kind of where I'm at and where my head's been at all night. In addition to that, I did a little working out. I did another workout with the Pilates bar. I distracted myself with some makeup and hair, as you can see. I wrote up some more just bullet points of things and moments and events that have taken place over, the past few years. But so little by little, I'm getting things done. I know I told you guys the other day I created an entire fitness sequence. I believe it was 6 exercises. I discussed them, form, benefits, how to restart your workout regimen after an injury or a period of inactivity. I was unable to post it after editing it. So those occurrences, and then combined with the harassments and the just every day something new, it really leaves you reeling. Your mind is just reeling. What can I do to create change? What can I do to be a part of the solution rather than the perpetuation of innocent people and situations that should have never unfolded? How can I be an active part in stopping the exploitation of any and everyone, but specifically any child? How can I be a part of, standing up for the children when I feel like my own voice has been so silenced? So this is kind of just a little insight as to what I think about and how I've been spending my time. It's just very worrisome. It's very heavy to think about, but it's literally been all that's on my mind, and just hoping that we can find some sort of resolution and understanding. I got to speak with my youngest daughter for a moment and my oldest daughter for a moment yesterday. Again, our communications are very brief, 1 or 2 word answers. My daughter seemed extremely groggy. The youngest one, like very out of it. It was in the evening time, so not a time she'd typically be asleep. I am concerned. How could I not be? And my older daughter, has a job and she goes to work, and it's like, does she have her phone with her? Has someone taken it? What are these several hour lapses in communication? Her father's phone was disconnected yesterday or the day before, so I haven't been able to speak with him directly, and that's also causing additional concern. My son doesn't have his own phone, so I did speak with him the day before yesterday, but again, my situation is very sensitive, and everything that's been ongoing with me, it's difficult, to talk about at all, let alone with a child, and to tailor the communication and the information to the child's age and level of understanding, but also just what they're able to take in, what can they handle mentally at this point. It's been, since 2020 that the children have been primarily residing with their fathers. And it's been the roughest experience I've ever had to go through in my entire life. I've never had a period of more mental strain, worry, fear, sadness, hopelessness, desperation, confusion. So I'm just hoping that that's one of the very next points of interest and areas of attention is that we all come together in a way that guarantees our children the space and peacefulness and mental health stability that they deserve. Not just because it's COVID and that in itself is mentally taxing, but also just because. So, all right, you guys, I'm gonna sign off for now. Just a lot of very heavy stuff going on in my mind. So what prompted this is, as you guys can see in my last post, I've been receiving endless text messages, message board messages, calls, emails, making wild accusations about my children's well-being and that they were being kidnapped and that they were being, taken here, and that my daughter's phone was being taken from her, and that she was being exploited at work and bullied at school and threatened, if your mom doesn't do this, then we're going to do this. And just different things that are coming in from outside sources, mostly strangers, that I've never met before. And that, leads me to the next thought, which is, number one, how can I verify that my child is okay? Number two, are any of these accusations fact-based? Number three, are any of these accusations based on an assumption that could be factual but has yet to be confirmed? And number four, if this is going on, what do I do to stop it? How do I, remove my child from this? My children are young. They're 15, 13, and 8. And it's been 2 years almost now that I have not been the primary, parental unit. So that's very difficult. And it has nothing to do with control and everything to do with the well-being of my child and just wanting my child to have, safety and peace and respect and their boundaries, honored, and not being subjected to outside influence or malicious intention or, being blamed for things that they have no idea about or understanding of, or being taught things that myself or their fathers would never have wanted them to be, taught or be a part of. There's just so much, going on in my mind. And on top of that, I'm facing some other concerns with my home and the continued harassment and bullying here, and super concerned about the lack of response from law enforcement. And this is not just police, it's just any law enforcement. Like, at this point, it's like, is the National Guard going to come in? Is something going to be done? Because, again, I've been documenting this for quite some time now, and it's extremely troubling. So, all right, that's going to do it. I will check back in later tonight. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you guys later.